All right, so apparently there's something going on with PoE 2. I don't know. Maybe let's just see what this is about.
News. Communities in shambles. Let me explain. Have I heard the latest Path of Exile news? Communities in shambles. Let me explain something about the community with any video game being in shambles. All news has a time limit. In America, it's a 24-hour news cycle. In the video game world, it tends to be about 3 to 4 months. The community won't be in shambles.
That's probably pretty accurate, actually. Yeah, I think so too. I think like that's about as long as stuff sticks around. I mean, it might be a little bit shorter depending on the news, but I don't think he's wrong about that. No.
What will happen is the extremely hardcore and franchised players who do nothing else other than play the game will be incredibly upset because they have no content to sustain them because they consume it faster than it's being made. The casual players or the normal people will say, oh, that's a shame. I'll go and do something else until that game is ready to play again. Then they'll come back when it's ready again. The community is not in shambles. People are just annoyed that Path of Exile 1 is taking longer than it was expected to have an update, and fully understandable because Path of Exile 2 was an absolute worldwide runaway success where they needed to reallocate any kind of resources to it. No, I don't subscribe. I'm sorry, you're not wrong, but I don't subscribe to any of the extreme drama simply because extreme drama changes week to week, and we're expected to believe that everything is the most extreme drama, when it just isn't.
You know what? I kind of agree with them. I think this stuff with like, because I didn't quite catch what he was fucking talking about, but obviously at PoE 1, right? It got delayed, and it's like, I don't know. I get that it might be like it sucks for the people that still play PoE 1. I don't know why you would, to be honest. I'm just kidding. I know some people play that game and they prefer it to PoE 2 and all of that. And personally, I don't see it, but it's like, okay, there are those players. And I think the outrage has been pretty loud in that community because of the fact that GGG decided to focus more on PoE 2 than I think they expected. Also in terms of like just dealing with some like problems with PoE 2, because I think that's also what like most of it was about, was not actually, oh, it's so successful, we gotta prio that. I think it was also just there's so many problems with the game that we need to fix, and we kind of need to take the time to do that before we can get back on PoE 1. But I don't know, I think it's a weird gameplay or like a weird decision thing from the developers to decide to keep making PoE 1 content if they're going to make PoE 2. I mean, you're kind of just competing with your own product. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really get the logic there, to be honest. I really don't, considering the games are so similar, but still different in some ways. And you're appealing to basically the same player base, largely, right? Again, there's going to be some people who only find appeal in PoE 1, for example. But I find that a little bit weird. I don't really quite understand the reasoning from GGG to do that. I mean, if they had more content for PoE 1, why not just release that and spend another 6 months on PoE 2, and then they could just go PoE 2, and then they could just be like, yeah, we're just PoE 2 now. We're going to keep supporting PoE 1, but we're not going to keep developing content for it. That would have been a little bit more understandable and a little bit more normal of a way to handle that situation. Instead, they're just like, yeah, no, we're going to keep making content for both in some way. And then I guess they maybe thought that they were going to get away with that, if you want, or like they weren't going to reap the disadvantage of being in that situation where you have two similar products with the same consumer base that you need to maintain both at the same time and provide content for both at the same time. I don't get it. I really don't. It's really weird by the developers to do that. I was really surprised when I heard that there was like a new thing coming for PoE 1. I was like, what? Like, aren't they done with that? I don't know. really confused me. I don't know. Someone who plays POE 1, please enlighten me, because I don't know that much about POE 1. I never played it. I did hear a lot about it, and I was interested in it at some point. I do remember that was probably around the time it came out, actually, or like way back, because I've heard a lot about it, and I did, I remember investigate it, but I never got interested enough to actually start playing it. But yeah, it's like someone who's in that community, please enlighten me, because I don't know. I find that really weird. Like, why would they take that approach? It just seems super odd to me to approach the game like that, or two games like that. Like, it's their products, and they're like, I mean, I would get it if it was a completely different product, like completely different genre game, different type of product. It was appealing to a different market because they wanted to broaden out as a developer that has now seen success. Fine. But it is two games, basically the same. They're even the same IP. And you're going to keep them competitive to each other? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Or is it supposed to be, PoE 1 is for the uber grindy hardcore crowd, and then you have PoE 2 for more of the casual crowd? I don't know. Even though PoE 2 is harder, apparently, than PoE 1. I don't know. I can't reason it in my head, like why they would do it. Because like I said, it doesn't make sense to keep one game for a more hardcore audience in PoE 1, and then PoE 2 for a more casual audience, because PoE 2 is harder, apparently. According to people who have also played PoE 1, PoE 2 is harder. Even though it's not hard, still, if you know what you're doing, like PoE 2 is pretty fucking easy. But for the casual crowd, for the people who've never played it before, like me in the beginning, it was pretty rough. But, once you get a hold of stuff, it's pretty cool. It's pretty chill, right? I don't know. I cannot compute the logic there. So if someone has any insights, please fill me in, because I'd be curious.
It will massively affect people who are hugely, deeply, strongly entrenched within the fandom, and the casual enjoyers of the game will just go and do something else for a bit. Ever wondered why all of the people that try and peddle drama at you always make it out to be the most important thing right now? That's why I find drama hypocritical. I find drama extremely hypocritical, because everything is the most important thing right now, and as soon as it's moved on from and forgotten about, it's completely irrelevant.
Yeah. And it's like, I agree with him, but at the same time, if there is like a legitimate thing to complain about, I think it's good to have outrage and drama. I think so, because the only problem with outrage and drama is that it doesn't actually create any change a lot of the time, for the exact reason he's saying, right? Because that's the thing. Anyone who's exposed to the drama, anyone who is not the victim necessarily, but who is the object of the drama. So, for example, a game developer like GGG in this case, they also kind of know that, like, give it a month, give it two, people have moved on, right? There's no lasting there's no lasting consequence, to not how do I say it? Not really adhering to, but like to not create change as a result of drama and outrage. Because, even though, yeah, the news cycle, if you want to call it that, in gaming is longer than traditional media, it's very inconsequential for people involved in it. And that's something I think people don't really understand. Is like how and that's why I think like GGG is doing what they're doing as well, because it's like it is of no real consequence, and they probably know it too. It's just, I don't know. It's I don't know. In my opinion, it would be kind of dumb to create needless drama if you're a developer. Which isn't to say that they want to create the drama, but they probably just think that, like, oh well, we kind of fucked up the planning here, or the decision making here, or we made a weird call, a bad call, whatever. But then they also know that, like, there's no real consequence to making that bad call, because in 2 months everyone's forgotten it and moved on. And even if people remember it, it's not like it's not going to affect them, And I think there's definitely a lot of that going on in these developers. Yeah.
People want to be angry all the time. They want to exist at the highest temperature. They want to live on that knife edge of being angry all the time. When the vast reality is, if you actually paid as much attention to literally everything as everything wants you to pay to it, you would have no attention span left. You would be burnt out. You would go insane. And I'm sure many of you have probably felt something like that before. It's exhausting. So I am fully aware of what's happening with Path of Exile. It is taking longer to produce 3.26, I believe, for Path of Exile 1, simply because PoE 2 has demanded more resources. And seeing as it is an incredible success, I can get why, from a business point of view, they have reallocated those resources. But people have been messaging me saying, Path of Exile 1's going to die! No, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. And that's exactly the thing, right? Is like people will create all this outrage, but they'll keep playing the game, right? And you see the same in Tarkov too, right? People will bitch about Tarkov and complain about Tarkov, including myself, by the way. I'm not leaving myself out of that. You know, I'm definitely one of them. I don't think I'm creating drama, but I'm definitely like expressing my disapproving of stuff that BSG does. I always have, right? I'll complain and I'll critique. I don't really think I'm creating drama, but there are people who do, right? There are people who will be like, you know what, like, fuck this game, the game's dead, it's fucking dying, it's fucking blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's not, right? Like, I don't think, even though I might joke about Tarkov being dead, Tarkov is never going to be dead. It's going to have a player base because it's so well established. It hits the niche for some people. It's going to have players. When I kind of joke about Tarkov being dead, I mean, the game has nowhere near the popularity it used to have, right? That's kind of what I mean. And, you know, that's, I think, a valid critique. Is the game's glory days are well past it, right? But there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, Tarkov genuinely has no future. Tarkov's going to be dead, completely dead in the next year. It's going to be like, oh yeah, look, no one's going to play it again. Like BSG's going to go broke. And like, it's just like, okay. Like, no. It's a lot of like hyperbole, I guess maybe it's the right word, or like it's very exaggerated. It's very grand and big, and it's like, dude, it's a fucking game. Like, and the developers know this too, which is why I don't think developers make a lot of changes based off of outrage, because they know there's of no real consequence, right? Especially if they know that they have a unique, successful, good product at heart. Like GGG, like, undoubtedly knows that they do because of how successful PoE 1 was. Or BSG with Tarkov, right? They know they have something special that doesn't really have a competitor on the market. You know, like Diablo 4 is just... What's Diablo 4, bro? Like, like PoE 2 has just absolutely curb stomped it. And like there was like a stream that was like revealing like for some of like the new patch stuff for Diablo 4, and there was like 4,000 people watching it or something like that, which is like that kind of lets you know, right? Like, not that that's 100% representative, obviously Twitch numbers, but it was like for one of the like major updating content patches and stuff like that, and there's like 4,000 people watching it. And then PoE 2 is like just off to the fucking stars. It's like it's just a different dimension. It's like it's not even a different league. It's a different game that PoE 2 is playing compared to Diablo 4, right? So, GGG obviously knows that they have something good, right? And then, you know, why are they gonna get their panties in a twist because some fucking dude on Twitter is losing his shit, you know? Or someone on YouTube says the game's dying. Like, they don't care. They're safe, you know, both with PoE 1 and 2, you know. So it's weird. It's yeah, but I think it's correct.
No, it's not. It's going to take a bit of a hiatus. It's going to chill out for a bit. It's going to relax. It's going to chill. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's going to take a bit of a hiatus. It's going to chill out for a bit.
What is he answering to? I don't
We're going to relax. We're going to pull the arrow back in order to fire it forward more. People really need to step back every now and again and say, right, in the grand scheme of things, what's going on? This angle looks very wrong. I can make it worse. I can make it a lot worse. For anyone unsure, I bought a standing desk. So I'm very slowly approaching your location.
All right. Yeah, interesting video. I kind of agree with him. I think there's very little point in heeding so much this drama that goes on with games, including POE 1. Even though I can understand that people are outraged, outraged and are kind of mad in a way. I get it, but it just doesn't hold that much sway against developers as I think people think it does. But yeah, interesting talk. All right.